Hi Yogi, welcome to Yoga with Alina, and today we have our new tutorial, and this one is going to be about something that is called Vinyasa. What the hell is Vinyasa flow, right? Because we see every single video, and most of them are called Vinyasa, but not a lot of people really understand what it is. So this is what we're going to get into in this video. First of all, why I decided to do this tutorial in the first place. Vinyasa is not just a flow. It is 4 separate asanas that have a lot of weight in yoga practice. Those are 4 different asanas that are the baseline of the entire practice. So working on them is actually going to prepare you for much deeper poses, much more advanced poses, and getting them right, understanding them is the gateway into deepening your practice. But again, a lot of times when we're in the class, we completely forget about it and it becomes something really weird that goes from down dog back to downward facing dog. So let's go to the mat and we'll examine the whole flow together. All right, guys, so I'm here today with Teo, who is an amazing yogi and my friend, and he's going to help us figure out what Vinyasa is. So let's start by just showing how it would look in a normal class setting. Go for it. I'm going to get out of your way. Good. And let's look at that. This is absolutely beautiful. All right. I wish Vinyasa flow would always look like that, but obviously when we first start practicing, it really doesn't. But you can get to the point if you are consistent with your practice and if you're practicing it correctly. So let's break it down. It's 4 different movements. Let's get into the first one, which is our plank. Can you get into plank, please? Yes. So take a look at this beautiful, beautiful plank. We have shoulders stacked over the wrist. The body's parallel to the ground. He's pushing away from the ground, separating the shoulder blades, all the good stuff. And this one is for us to start strengthening the core, start activating the muscles, pretty much all of them. And that's something that's going to get you warmed up for the practice to come. The next pose is our Chaturanga, the most, exciting one, I guess. Go for it. Good. Basically, it's just a tricep push-up, but you're still keeping that core engagement and you're activating your tricep, which is a very, very important muscle for a lot of poses in the yoga practice. I'm going to let you out of it. Let's go into the next one, up dog. Good. And this is where we get to stretch it out. So everything that we were just tensing up so much through plank and through Chaturanga, your core, your front body, your triceps, all that is getting nice deep stretch, and at the same time you're opening the heart and you're engaging your back a little bit more. So you see how they're all intertwining with one another, and this is what brings us into our last posture in this flow, in this Vinyasa flow, which is our downward facing dog. Let's get into that one. Good. And once you get into downward facing dog, this is when you get to stretch out your back, which you just engaged in the previous pose in your up dog. And you're getting a nice deep posterior chain stretch in general, with your hamstrings being involved here as well. A lot of people call it a resting pose. I always say that if someone calls it a resting pose, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. There are a lot to get into, but this one is going to be in another tutorial about downward facing dog. Make sure to watch that one. Right now, Tay, you can relax for a second while I'm still chatting here. You don't have to hold the entire time, because that's actually pretty difficult holding it in a very aligned way, the way that he was holding it right now. But so for this flow, to make those 4 poses an actual flow, the trick is to understand the transitions. And this is the next thing that we're going to do together. Before we get into it, I want you to take a notice, or maybe you already have noticed that throughout the entire flow, his hands and his feet were always the same distance apart. So when you set up your plank, this is what you want, right? Downward facing dog is the same length as plank. All of those poses are the same length in terms of your hands and your feet. They're not moving around. So if you feel the need to walk the hands or the feet somewhere, you know you're a little bit out of alignment already. So setting up your foundation is always the most important part, I guess. Let's do it. Let's get into plank. I'm going to repeat myself here. So notice how the shoulders are stacked over wrist directly, and the heels are actually, bring your feet a little bit further back so that the heels are on top of your toes. There you go. Good. So this is a really nice long plank. Everything is aligned. I'm going to say it over and over. The practice is geometrically insanely beautiful, and I love math, so that's partly why I love this practice. So all the angles, all the lines, look for them. And to get into your Chaturanga, it's not bending the elbows, or not just bending the elbows. What you actually have to do, you have to push your shoulders over the fingertips. Good, beautiful. So, nope, stay here. I know. Good. And once you push the shoulders over the fingertips, that's when you have a lot of weights in your fingertips, because they're going to have to hold you. They are your brakes here. All right, bend your elbows, engage the triceps a little bit. So your Chaturanga here, right? Shoulders over the fingertips still. The elbows are in line with your wrist. This is a 90-degree angle hold. Inhale, open up. There you go. Sorry about that. And still, right? The hands are still exactly where they were before, and the shoulders are stacked over the wrists again, just because we're dropping the hips down. But here's the thing. If you just drop the hips down, it's going to not really feel that good in your lower back. So whenever you do this pose, and again, more about it in another tutorial about up dog and cobra, make sure to check that one out. But think about pressing the chest forward a little bit more. Yes, forget about the word back bend. I always say, think about how much more you can open that heart. And this is how we get into our last posture. Hold on, don't go there first. I want you guys to notice his toes. He's on the tops of the feet, and going into the next pose, he's gonna roll over. Let's go for it. There you go. Yep. And this is something that scares a lot of people. Don't be afraid of it, and don't feel pressured, right? You can do one foot at a time. You can flip the toes. You don't have to rush. Never rush your practice. Eventually, it's going to come pretty natural for your toes to roll over. At least it did in my practice after a couple of years. And that's not going to be a problem. Don't stress about it too much. But notice how he was not stepping the feet in. That's not about that, right? He was just rolling over, and the alignment stayed exactly the same. The hands stayed glued to exactly the same spot on the mat the entire flow that he was doing. And this is how it should be. All right, let it go. Just drop it. Good. Awesome. So one more thing that I want to get into in this tutorial is how to modify this flow, because obviously what we were just showing is a lot. And one, or pretty much the best way to modify it, is to use your knees. But again, remember, using the knees doesn't mean that you forget about all those muscle engagement. It doesn't mean that you forget about stretch, strength, and why you're doing this. This is for you to gain more strength so that you will be able to do it off your knees here. So let's try to do it with our knees, but first set up your regular plank without the knees, because that's how we want to know the alignment. Remember, we want to get those shoulders over the wrist, the heels on top of your toes, all the good stuff, engage in the core, and from there drop your knees down. Good. You see how he dropped his knees down, but his core stayed engaged. The upper body literally did not move. Good. Actually, you know what? Lift the knees back up. So because we do have to make it into a flow. So if you're at the point where you can already hold your plank, keep the knees lifted for the plank, and then push the shoulders forward. After that one, you're going to drop the knees down. That's it. Again, the core is still engaged. Nothing has changed. The shoulders pushed forward, but that was it. Bend the elbows for Chaturanga. Good. That's it. Holding it. Right? Same exact pose. He's shaking right now. I don't know if you can see it. Probably with that camera, you will be able to see it. But he's shaking. This is hard. And doesn't matter that he is on his knees. And he's very, very strong. All right. Get out of it. Lift up. Good. And this is where pressing into your toes and lifting the knees off the ground is also kind of important. So basically, the knees are just for Chaturanga. But that's going to help you a lot moving through this flow. All right, let's roll back into downward facing dog. And that one is going to stay the same for everyone. No way to put the knees down there. If you find a way to do it, let me know about it, because I don't know how to do it. But yes, lower it down, drop it down, child's pose, rest, whatever you need to do after those chaturangas. Good. I'm actually going to, there you go. Let's get some massage there. Good. All right. So that was your vinyasa flow. I hope you guys can understand it a little bit better now. I hope you will be able to practice it with a little bit more clarity and keeping the integrity of the practice. I always talk about it. It's very, very important. And doing this flow correctly, doing this flow with integrity is going to deepen your practice. I can promise you that much for sure. Thank you so much for staying with me for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you back very, very soon. Namaste.